Are old violins really better than new violins? Let's find out! In this video I will be comparing my 200-year-old German violin to this brand new Zubak Soloist violin from Kennedy Violins. Come along with me to a rehearsal with my pianist Mari, where I will be playing both violins for you. I will also ask her opinion if she hears the difference. And of course you get plenty of opportunity to listen for yourself and to discover all the differences. I am really curious what Mari thinks about this violin. And yep, I'm still breastfeeding my twin girls, so they will go along with us and let's see if they enjoy the music. Minaatje, Minaatje. So Mari, did you notice a difference between the violins?
Yes, I did.
And what do you notice?
I thought American one sounds brighter and clearer, and yours sounded warm and deeper tones.
Okay.
Yes,
And
I like both.
There is a 200-year difference between them.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so the American is just new.
Yes.
It's a baby violin.
Yes.
Just like these babies.
Yes.
Hey. And but do you notice age in the sound?
Yes, I did a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it does it sound like it sounds new, bright new?
Yes,
Perhaps?
yes. American one sounded definitely newer.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And mine is sounded maybe like it has more mature sound.
Yes, yes, it did.
So
Yes. Depends on what you prefer, I think.
yeah. And what you want to play, perhaps?
I would like to play with yours. And maybe modern music, like Philip Glass with American. Might be good. Depends on which piece you
And
choose.
it can easily stand out.
Yes,
perhaps.
exactly.
And then
Yes.
I think mine will blend more easily
Yes,
with
yes.
the piano, like it's one sound.
Yes, yes.
While the American will,
Yes.
be more.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now, did you hear the difference between my 200-year-old German violin and the Zubak Soloist brand new baby violin? Let me know in the comments what differences you notice. Now, of course, this is a bit of a weird comparison because this is just one individual old violin versus one individual new violin. So, of course, in both categories there are so many different instruments with so many different sounds. But is this a somewhat fair comparison if you look at the value? Now, I bought my German violin for around 2,000 euros and it needed a little work. And the Zubak Soloist violin costs around $2,000 at Kennedy Violin, so it's approximately the same value. However, an antique violin like mine can sell at very, very different prices, so that's not so set. What I'd like to encourage you if you are looking to buy a violin is that you really listen for yourself. What you might like in a violin and in a sound might be different from someone else's. Singers have different voices, and as violinists we have our personal preferences when it comes to instrument. So is it better to buy an old violin versus a new violin? Well, both have their pros and cons. Indeed, violins get better over time. That does mean that if you buy a new violin and you like the sound, that likely it will only get better. While an old violin usually stays where it is, as it's already settled. In terms of maintenance, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because a delicate old violin might need some more maintenance and might get some repairs as parts wear down, like the pegs for example. A new violin on the other hand is new, so everything is new and just adjusted. On the other hand, the instrument needs to settle, so there's a chance that after a while you might have the bridge cut a little bit, so it will fit again, and the peg. So, you know, both violins need maintenance. Some people think that an old violin needs a lot of maintenance. Well, my violin really doesn't need that much maintenance, except some cleaning and some string changes, and over time the fingerboard needs to be smoothed out. But those are all things that you also need to do with a new violin. Then in terms of value, because a lot of people think that old violins are a good investment. Now, first of all, I want you to decide, are you buying a violin to play on, or are you buying a violin to invest in? And likely the price range where most of you guys are looking, so you're not buying violins of the really famous makers of the past, you're not buying a Strat, so to say, then the old new doesn't make that much of a difference. So if you invest in like a 6 or 7 figure violin to make a profit, yes, that's possible. But if you're more looking in the price range of 4 figures or 5 figures, then usually a good instrument just holds its value, whether it's an old instrument or it's a new instrument. And sometimes I see students so obsessed with wanting to do a good investment that they forget to really listen to and feel what violin they actually like to play on. So I always advise, buy a violin that you love for its sound and that you love for how it plays, because that's the most important for most of us, assuming that you are a violin player and not an investor. So you probably want to know what I think of this Zubak Soloist violin. Now my first impression was really good. Just like Fiddler Shop, Kennedy Violins does a professional setup by a violin maker on all instruments they ship out, so also the lower priced ones. And that is the most important thing when you buy an instrument online. And what I see go wrong lots of times is that people buy an instrument and that the setup just isn't good. And the setup requires really a person working on your instrument and adjusting it to that individual instrument. So it might be a little bit higher priced, but yeah, around $300. Both Fiddler Shop and Kennedy Violins already have some great options for you. But if the setup isn't good, then the instrument is very hard to tune and it also doesn't stay in tune. The strings might be high above the fingerboard, so it's really hard to play with your fingers. So if you are buying a violin, please keep that setup in mind, and this is not something you can do easily yourself at home. So that is point number 1. And with this Zubak Soloist violin, the setup is really excellent. The bridge is cut very nicely. It's good craft work, and it also feels nice to play. The response is good, so I think that also the sound bus is set good. They pay some attention to it. Also the pegs work really well. It only has 1 fine tuner, but there's an option to have 4. So if you're like, oh. But I tuned with the pegs and it's really good. And I've played on it for a while. And the tuning stability is also excellent. It just feels nice in the hand, which means they really paid attention to detail to make it a pleasure to play. And then what I find important, and even more important, now I'm getting educated as a color strings violin teacher, is that the harmonics ring well, and that also gives a general idea about the setup and the resonance of an instrument. And with this Zubak Soloist, the harmonics just, they work very well. I would even say that they play more easily than on my antique German violin, because sometimes with old violins, they have their, just like old people, their little bad habits or the little nags. So I think the harmonics are very easy on this Zubak violin, and that's definitely a good sign. Now let's talk a little bit more about the bow and the whole setup of this. First I would like to talk to you about the bow, but what I'll discuss later is that you have so many different options at Kennedy Violins to choose whatever you like. But I just want you to hear this instrument with 3 totally different bows. So we have the Pro Pernambuco bow that came with it, which is a bow of around $300. And I think it's for that price, it's just a good, decent bow. Nothing more, nothing less. I think it's quite flexible, but I personally like stiff bows, and it's not too heavy, which is really nice. So it's for that price, it's just a good bow. if you would hear, for example, the Marquise on this instrument, then you hear that it suddenly gets a totally different sound. So if you are choosing to buy this instrument, you might want to consider upgrading it with a nice CodaBow. Now the Marquise is around $1,200, so we do talk about a different price range that I understand is not accessible for everyone. And now to be complete, let's listen to this violin with my Arcus bow, which is over $8,000, just for reference. Now, I think the instrument already sounds good with the CodaBow actually. I think the CodaBow is really an upgrade you could seriously consider. Considering the price range, it might not make that much sense to combine a $2,000 instrument with an $8,000 bow, but you might look into the cheaper Arcus bows. Now, if you want to know all about how to pick a bow, then I've got a great guide for you at violinlounge.com/bow. I'm not going into all the bow differences, but I just wanted you to hear this instrument with 3 totally different bows, so you have an idea of what the influence of the bow is. And talking about accessories like the bow and the case, I would like to invite you to come behind my computer, and then we can look about something amazing that I haven't seen anywhere else. So if you buy this Zubak Soloist violin, you get to pick whatever you want in terms of the case. Now, we've already covered the bow a little bit. Now, if you go to the menu, to the bow, then you see that you have this advanced option. Now I have the Pro Bow upgrade that I'm trying out, and then you can also choose a CodaBow Diamond NX or an SX. Now I've got reviews about those CodaBows at violinlounge.com/bow, so you can look there, and I'm sure that if you want to combine it with a different bow they offer, that that's also a possibility. So now the case, I got this instrument with the Carmen Composite upgrade, and I really recommend it. You know, I'm happy with my Gewa Air case, and this is even better actually. Now let's go full Violinfluencer style and I'll show you this case. So what I like is that you have some more space. Now of course I have this violin shaped Gewa Air, and of course Gewa Air also has like a rectangle case. But I like that you can carry it in different ways. So over one shoulder, over 2 shoulders, you can just carry it in your hand. You do have a large compartment for accessories, and you don't need to spend it all on your shoulder rest, because there's also a little thingy for your shoulder rest to stay there. So you can really use that compartment. And there is a very, very handy sheet music compartment, and I always carry an extra bag for the sheet music with my Gewa Air. So this is really handy, and it gives you also some soft padding on your back, so you're not feeling that you're carrying a hard case, so to say. I really love the attention to detail in this case. That's why I made my ridiculous Violinfluencer videos, because I just really love this case. And you know, for a $40 upgrade, it's really, really worth it. Because if you look at the details, it's just a well finished case. It also has some good locks. Everything feels made in Germany. It's not made in Germany, but it feels that way, if you know what I mean by that. Now, that's enough about the case. Let's not make myself too ridiculous. Now, it comes standard with prelude strings, and you can upgrade it to whatever strings you like. From this selection, I would choose actually, yeah, there I go. I always pick the most expensive thing, for the obbligato, because those are just beautiful strings. And you know, the other strings that are there are also strings that are, yeah, also very well known, very good. Like the Alphaq strings, every luthier puts them on the rentals, just like the dominants. Preludes are good as well. So, you know, I reviewed about all strings that exist. So you can see that at violinlounge.com. I'll not go too much into strings, but you can choose what strings you like. You can even choose what rosin you want. Mine came with the obbligato rosin. You can set that all up, and then even the setup, look, you can set up what fine tuners you want. So you can do for removable, the single fine tuner like I had, and yeah, so this is also good. You can just pick whatever you like. And then the bridge option even. You can have a flatter fiddle bridge installed, you can have a pickup installed in your bridge. That's really cool. Tuning pegs even. The normal pegs, and some people really love the Whitner fine-tune pegs and call me very old-fashioned for not having them. If you want them, then you can have them. And also another option, fitting sets, so you can have the wood type that you want. You can even do Pernambuco fittings, they look pretty. Rosewood, I like to. My piano bench is rosewood. Now, let's stop online shopping right now. It's Cyber Week next week, so we're all in kind of the buying frenzy. But just as a closing note, pun intended, if you are looking to upgrade your student violin and you're looking for a violin in this $2,000 price range, I think this Zubak Soloist violin by Kennedy Violins is a great choice. And it's really a reliable business to buy your violin, and they do great setups. But again, I really want you to listen for yourself. Does the sound make your heart sing? Then this might be the instrument for you. But really make a personal choice for your instrument, even if you are beginner-ish, okay? You know, I've worked in a violin shop for over 10 years. People let other people influence their judgment so much. Well, I think you are the one that needs to play your instrument and needs to be totally happy with it. And of course, it makes total sense to ask other people what they think. For example, I asked my husband what the difference is between the instrument. I asked my pianist Mari what she thinks. So it's all very valuable to have that opinion of other people, but in the end, it should be your decision which violin you buy. Now, let me know in the comments what you think about this violin and about the comparison versus my old violin. I know with these kind of videos I always get comments like, yeah, and what if you put the same strings on them, or have one luthier cut bridges for both instruments, or and the sound post, and what is the sound difference if I install the Whitner geared pegs, etc. Blah 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 blah. If I would do all that, then this video would be a complete feature film, and I don't have time for that. So anyway, I hope it was helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye. Happy practicing.